Hello and welcome to How to Purchase Abroad, a guide to buying property on foreign soil.
Today we're talking about buying property in Portugal, an astonishingly beautiful country with luscious valleys, splendid coastlines and, of course, world-class port.
Well, today we're joined on the sofa by David Ingham, an architect from southeast London who wants to use his property know-how to renovate a small Portuguese townhouse.
Now, David hails from France and lives, works and plays in London, but is now hoping to find a small renovation project in Portugal that will take care of him in his golden years.
But before he converts the pounds to euros, David has come here today to talk things through and to get some advice from our very own property oracle, Stefano Lucatello. There's a new name for you.
Hello, Diana. Hi, Des.
Hi.
Yes.
And hello, David. Welcome.
Welcome to the show. Now, before we talk to David in detail about his dream property buy, let's take a look at what the small haven of Portugal has to offer. Poised between the tip of Europe and the Atlantic Ocean, Portugal has a vivid and rich history and was once one of the richest countries in the world. Today, its wealth lies in its stunning beauty and sunny climate. An area recognisable to most British holidaymakers is the Algarve. With more hours of sunshine than California, this is a sunseeker's paradise. And with over 150 beaches, why not lie back, relax and, well, forget England. If sitting in the sun is not your cup of tea, then why not tee off at one of Portugal's 29 world-famous golf courses? With incredibly mild winters, golfers can enjoy warm, sunny days, keeping their swings smooth at a time when their home courses are unplayable. Now, once you've sampled the coastal delights, perhaps a trip to one of the many exquisite towns is next in the Portuguese menu. Why not admire the ancient walls of Lagos, or digest the fermented port of Porto, or simply replace the rat race for a slower pace, as there really is no need to hurry in this Iberian paradise. Once you've completed your experience of the beautiful beaches, luscious golf courses and the hospitable locals, all that's left to do is snap up a piece of Portuguese property to call your own.
Well, someone who's keen to snap up a slice of Portuguese paradise is French architect David Ingham, and he joins us here today.
Welcome to the show, David.
Thank you.
Now, you've had a look at the beautiful Portuguese coastlines and the culture there. So specifically, what was it about Portugal that attracted you to buying there?
I went to Lisbon a few times and I must say it's a beautiful city. Food was great. The climate is incredible. The fact there's so many beaches, as you said before. I come from Brittany, so surrounded by sea and beaches. So I think that Lisbon or another city in Portugal should really do the job, I think.
Yeah, you're a man after my own heart. The first thing you mentioned was food, which is great. Then sunshine, then beaches.
And of course, coming from Brittany, he doesn't get as much sunshine as Portugal, perhaps.
Absolutely. How long have you lived in the UK?
4 years now. 4
Okay,
years, yes.
so you've shown already that you can adjust to another climate and another way of life, so I guess that moving to Portugal wouldn't be a problem.
No, I don't. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I see myself, I suppose, as a European, really. My father's French, my mother's British, so already we all sort of all over the place, really. I've got some family in Ireland, some in America, so it's not as far as that, to be honest. And there's a lot of common things, you know, between these countries.
So you're well travelled anyway.
Yeah.
And would you be looking for this place in Portugal as somewhere to move to permanently, or would it be a part-time?
Well, that's the question. I mean, probably not at first. I've got my business running here, and I do, you know, property development and also just architectural, you know, jobs around here. So I would like to invest in a property, do it up, probably rent it out for some time, and maybe, you know, come to it a few weeks during the year, or maybe just sell it. I'm not really sure exactly.
And then maybe compare lifestyles.
Yeah, absolutely.
From the UK or France to Portugal.
Yeah, exactly. Stay a few weeks, you know, or a few months eventually, and have a real break from London.
Now, you said that Lisbon attracted you.
Yes.
Would you particularly want to buy around Lisbon, or would you be prepared to be looking elsewhere?
As long as it's got this town feel, I like the buzz. You know, I like London. I was in Paris for 8 years as well, so I would like, you know, something sort of exciting around me to happen.
But would it be a house that you'd be looking for, or an apartment?
Rather a house, I think. I'm 36 now, and I've had a few flats, and I think I'd like to move forward, if possible.
I thought he was going to say he's had a few ladies, and it's time to settle down.
Yeah, or maybe need somewhere with more rooms. I don't know.
French, of course.
Those were the flats.
Absolutely. Would you be looking for somewhere that you'd be keen to renovate?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's my job, basically, and that's what I'm good at, hopefully.
How many bedrooms would you be looking for?
2, 3, you know, some outdoor space, maybe a little garden, a patio, one of these, you know, internal patio they have in
And how much money would you be willing to spend on the property?
Well, around 100, 120,000. I'm sure you could get something quite substantial there for that amount of money.
And then be prepared to perhaps do it up as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
To make it into a paradise.
Oh. Well,
a little castle.
Why not? Why not? Yes.
Well, Stefano, you know, 120,000. Do we have scope, do you think, for getting something nice for David?
Yes, I'm sure we can get something very nice for David. Portugal is going through a resurgence at the moment. It's gone through a plateau. The prices are going up, but they're still at a decent price where you can buy a very decent property for not so much money.
So in terms of the timing, Stefano, would you say that now is a good time to invest because it's on the way back up again?
Absolutely, especially with the downturn in Spanish property market recently. Portugal's also had a bump on effect where people are moving away from Spain to whatever's next door. And what do we have next door? Well, you've got Portugal
on one side.
and to the south you've got Morocco. So yes, Portugal is feeling the
resurgence. And I suppose particularly if you steer clear of the Algarve, where the prices are, as we know, pretty high, other areas of Portugal would be quite an investment.
Internal areas of Portugal, further north in Portugal, the farms, they're very, very good. Cascais, Estoril, Lisbon, those areas are very, very pretty. And even further north, well, I mean, people don't tend to mention areas of Portugal which are further north than Lisbon. People think that Portugal finishes at Lisbon and maybe Oporto, but they don't talk about the northern parts of Portugal, which are fantastically idyllic places to go and see and visit and spend time in.
Being very European, as you obviously are, do you perhaps have other languages, maybe Portuguese?
No, I don't speak a word of Portuguese. I speak German, so French, German and English, but when I went there were quite a lot of people speaking French, so I found that quite easy. I mean, that was Lisbon, okay, it wasn't the sort of, you know, in areas of Portugal, but...
But you've obviously got an ear for languages to be able to speak
yeah, I
three
suppose,
like that.
yeah, it wouldn't be that hard. I'm sure, you know, you can deal with it.
I think the good thing as well is if you take it on a part-time basis and you're out there maybe for a few months a year, you can pick up the language so that if you do decide to move there permanently, by that time you'll be well-skilled in Portuguese.
Yeah, I think so, I think so.
It's not one of the easiest languages to learn. It's a mixture of Italian, French, Spanish, it's dialectic, idiomatic forms, and it's a lot of gutturals and David having a bit of German, he'll be all right for the gutturals. But the one thing you mustn't do to a Portuguese person is speak Spanish to him because he'll just ignore you. Prefer to speak any other language but Spanish.
Absolutely. So. Now, David talks about investing in a property that can be renovated. Are those sorts of properties available in the Portuguese market?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. They're not so frequent as the stuff in the Algarve. But they are there. They're the stone cottages, the stone houses, the semi-detached. They're all there to be snapped up. You've just got to have a good eye and find them out. I'm sure as an architect he'll have people on the ground who'll be looking for him, and that's what you've got to do. You've got to look for them and then decide on what you can get. And there's always a good price to be had. But as we always say, try and get someone local to negotiate your price, because you'll get a better price if a local negotiates than if a foreigner negotiates or if you do it yourself.
Well, this is a question I was going to ask. You've been on holiday a few times. Do you have any contacts or friends in Portugal?
My ex-girlfriend used to, I mean, she's from Lisbon.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Why not? You know, she's an architect, so...
Now, I'm surprised you don't speak Portuguese, because my ex-father-in-law, who was quite a wag and spoke a lot of languages, always told me that you learnt the languages on the pillow. Well, so I'm surprised you don't know more Portuguese.
But Diana, it's the language of love, which is the universal language.
Somewhere, for God's sake.
But yes, a good point. Maybe that's why they didn't stay together. Who knows?
Who knows?
But at least you know someone, David,
yes,
and
absolutely.
you have a contact out there.
Yeah, it's quite important. I agree. I mean, that's quite an important asset. You know, you need to at least know where you're going to step in. Knowing someone there is a great,
Mind you, if it's ex-girlfriend, she might ramp the price up, mightn't she? So get her up.